Well, if you're flying this holiday season, you should probably hear this. Your pilot might have forgotten how to fly. That is the astounding finding of a study that the feds are about to release. The Wall Street Journal newspaper reviewed this thing in advance. According to the Journal's reporting, the study finds that technology in cockpits has gotten so good that a lot of pilots are having trouble flying airplanes by hand instead of relying on the autopilot. Kind of like folks who do all their math with calculators but can't remember basic school arithmetic, or people who do all of their driving using their iPhones and can't figure out where streets are without it. In one segment of this study, the feds found that about two-thirds of pilots, two-thirds of them, made mistakes or had trouble flying planes manually. The study calls this the greatest risk to passengers worldwide, and it's already been deadly. Case in point, this past Sunday in Russia, when a plane plunged to the earth and exploded. Investigators say the pilots were trying to gain speed but ended up in an unstoppable nosedive. Investigators say they suspect pilot errors in this summer's crash of a crash landing with jumbo jet in San Francisco. And then there's one back in 2009 when an Air France jet went down in the Atlantic Ocean. Investigators say the pilots there could not figure out what the plane's automated systems were telling them. All 228 people on board died. Let's take this to aviation consultant Mike Boyd, who's live with us this afternoon on what appears to be a snowy afternoon in Denver. Mike, it's nice to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
This idea that a lot of pilots have forgotten how to fly, I don't know, that's a bit disturbing.
Well, let's not overemphasize it. They're trained to fly the airplanes they have with the equipment that's on it. And in the process of that, they learn they don't get a lot of stick time, perhaps, and that means that when these systems go down or the systems don't do the right thing, the skills need to be honed to understand that. And I think this report alone fixes half the problem, because you're going to have the Airline Pilots Association, the Allied Pilots Association, SWAPA at Southwest. They're going to be on this, and that situation is going to get fixed in the near term. Doesn't mean we're unsafe. It just means when certain things go wrong, we're looking at a machine and saying, now what do I do?
And you spend so much time letting the machine do it. You know, people driving a car is kind of muscle memory. But if you live in cruise control all the time, you lose some of your edge. Is that part of this?
Well, it is. I have old cars, and I've learned very expensively that old cars don't shut their headlights off on their own. They don't pop the brake off. A very expensive exercise in that. It's very much the same thing here, where you got to understand that hand flying the airplane stick time is important too. And I guarantee you, every professional pilot in America is paying attention to this report.
You wonder if maybe from time to time, it's my understanding from a couple of pilots whom I know, that from time to time they'll land the plane manually, even though the autopilot is working just fine, just to get the reps in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's called stick time, and being able to fly the airplane yourself. I think pilots like to do that, but this report's going to be really, really profitable for safety, because the pilots are going to look at it and say, now we know what to do. So I think it's a positive thing that this came out.
But should somebody getting on a plane to go into Granny's for the Thanksgiving weekend be worried about this?
No, just be worried if you're going to be stuck in a middle seat. Other than that, you're going to be safe.
Or traveling through the Northeast. We just got a gridlock warning for Wednesday of next week, that if you're going to be flying through anywhere in the Northeast corridor, that it's a mess. Are we still in a situation on that front where the air traffic control systems are outdated, or is this just a volume problem, or what is it?
Well, there's less airplanes in the sky over the Thanksgiving holidays, and there's less seats in the sky, so it's not going to be the crush people say it is. There'll be a crush on I-95 and on the Long Island Expressway, not in the sky, but the reality is our air traffic control system, you're just as likely to be delayed any day of the week as over Thanksgiving, and that's a fairly high recommendation, if you will, in terms of how well we've done fixing our air traffic control system. In other words, we haven't.
Yeah. I always feel like part of the problem at holidays is you have flyers who aren't used to flying. The rest of the time, a lot of business people, over the holidays, you got people with kids who aren't in the airport every day. It's like tourists in New York City. All of a sudden, the airport doesn't work. Anyway, Mike.
Oh, no, it is.
Yeah.
Amateurs.
It's good to see you. Good luck with the snow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.